I'm your sub, Mrs. Slattery. Would you like to learn about nerve impulses today?
Sorry I'm late.
First, can we have Kayla come up to explain the anatomy of a neuron?
This right here is the soma, or the cell body. Inside of that is the nucleus. And these projections right here are called dendrites. This long structure is called the axon. And there are Schwann cells on there that are covered in myelin sheaths. In the middle of that are the nodes of Ranvier. And closer to the end of the neuron are the terminal ends. On the ends of those are terminal end knobs.
Kaylee, that was very good, thank you. You only forgot one thing. This little area right here is called the axonal hillock. All right, next we're going to talk about resting potential.
At a resting state, a neuron is not conducting an impulse. The potassium concentration is higher inside the cell, while the sodium concentration is higher outside the cell. The charge of the resting potential depends on the cell. The resting membrane potential goes from -20 to -90 millivolts, with an average of -70.
Thank you, Victoria. That was very nice. Now we need to understand what graded potentials are.
Graded potentials are changes in a response to a stimulus in the dendrites. They are caused by an activation of a class of channel proteins called gated ion channels.
Also, what happens when the cell depolarizes?
Positive sodium ions enter the cell and potassium ions leave the cell.
Awesome. Now we're going to talk about action potential. The action potential travels along the axon, which is an electrical impulse.
First, it's at a resting state. No ions are being moved through the voltage-gated channels. Next is the depolarization. Sodium will flow into the cell. After that is the repolarization. Then potassium is flowing out of the cell. After that, it's hyperpolarization, which is caused by potassium continuously leaving the cell. At the end of an axon in which the impulse is coming, the membrane depolarizes. Then the gated ion channels open. Then calcium ions will enter the cell. When the calcium ions rush in, neurotransmitter diffuses across the synaptic cleft and binds to receptors on the postsynaptic membrane. Binding of neurotransmitter opens ion channels. Then the effects of the neurotransmitter are terminated by reuptake, degradation, or diffusion away from the synapse.
Neurotransmitters, as previously was mentioned, are the language of the nervous system because they're how neurons communicate. There's more than 50 found in the human body, and they're all released at different frequencies because they all do different things. They're classified chemically and functionally. There's 6 chemical classes, all are very hard to pronounce, and then your functional classes, which are your effects and your actions, such as inhibitory and excitatory.
Thank you, Kaylee and Maddie. That was wonderful.
Woo!
Okay, now we're going to talk about the refractory periods. There are 2 refractory periods. There's the absolute refractory period, which is the period from opening of the Na plus channels until the Na plus channels begin to reset to their original resting state. The neuron cannot respond to stimulus while voltage-gated sodium channels are open. This ensures each AP is separate and enforces transmission. Then there's the relatively refractory period. Most Na plus channels have returned to resting state, some K plus channels are open, and repolarization is occurring. Axon threshold from AP is elevated, so the stimulus is not efficient. This is an example of a nerve impulse. There are electrical impulses being put into these pads, which causes my fingers to tremble. Okay, we're going to do a quick review. The dendrites receive an impulse which then travels along the axon. When it gets to the receptive region, the calcium influxes into the region, which releases the neurotransmitters, which then bind to the sodium channels, which then open, allowing sodium to come into the cell membrane, which depolarizes it. Hello, class. Would you like to talk about nerve impulses today?
No.
Well, too bad.
This structure right here is called an axon. Inside of the axon is the nucleus.
Kaylee, that was very good. Thank you. You only forgot one thing. Hello, class. Would you like to learn about nerve impulses today?
No.
No.
Let us go home.
Hello, class.
Neurotransmitters, as was previously mentioned in here. Hello, Mr.